All right, this is my new sub-irrigated planting box for lettuce, cauliflower, broccoli. I've got some radish sown in here as well. I'm gonna show you exactly how I built that in today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Rednecked video. Again, my name's Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or heck, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. And today we're working on a self-watering, I hate to call it a container, but a self-watering, probably raised bed is a little bit more like it. It's not a huge raised bed, but it is going to be sub-irrigated or self-watering, so to speak. So let me bring you in here a little bit close, show you what I got going on. All right, so this is the box I'm going to be using. I've actually got two of these setups. They're two separate pieces. It just kind of fits together. Fits together a little tricky, so got to do that. One sits on top of the other, and I don't know what these were, shipping crates or something like that at one time, but anyway, got them from somebody in the garden club. So what I'm going to be doing here is basically lining this with some 6 mil plastic to create the water basin for it. I've drilled a little hole over here. Well, let me back up. I'm going to be using this drain pipe down inside, and this will create my water reservoir in the bottom of the container. This is 4-inch drain pipe, so I've drilled a hole 3 inches up in the side of the container right here, and put a little piece of plastic tubing through. I'll bring you in close and show you that here in just a minute. So that means that it'll sit about 1 inch low, so the water level will not get any higher really than about 3 inches in this 4-inch pipe. So there'll be an inch of airspace in there. And that's important when you're making a self-watering container, because you don't want the water just sitting in the dirt just sitting in the water all the time. It'll go anaerobic, things will start to rot. So you don't really want to do that. You need some airspace in there. The roots will grow down to that airspace, hit that airspace, and then stop growing and start growing out to the side, so they'll be just fine. And that allows it to wick water up into the bed, but yet drain the excess water off, so you don't get an anaerobic, sewer type situation going on in your container. This is a 16-inch tall bed. I found that this size works really, really well. I've used it in containers before. I wouldn't go any higher than maybe 24 inches with that low of a water reservoir. So again, it's going to be 3 inches of water in the bottom, about 13 inches of soil on top of that, if that makes sense. So those are pretty good dimensions. All right, so let me, first thing I got to do is get this thing lined in plastic so it'll actually hold water and protect this wood a little bit, because if I just fill this with dirt against this wood that's unpainted, it's going to end up rotting out. It may end up doing that anyway, because I'm not taking the time to paint it. But let's work on getting the plastic in the container. All right, so what I'm working here with is a piece of 6 mil plastic. I've used it for like hoop houses and things like that in the past. And it's just a scrap piece that I've got left over. Hopefully it doesn't have any holes in it. I looked it over, it doesn't look like it does. But I may want to put some water in it before I go filling it with dirt, just to make sure. And I'm just gonna kind of work it into this container. Start on one side and work my way around. I'll leave some excess out to the sides so that, and actually I got something that's gonna make this a little bit easier. And then I'll just come back and cut it off and kind of clean it up. Give myself a clean edge to work with. Let me grab a clamp or two. All right. All right, I'll grab my staple gun over here and put a staple in there. right, so got all my plastic in there. It's not the prettiest job ever, but I think it'll work. Here's what I want to point out to you. Right here's the drain plug, and I've just got a piece of, like I said, tubing kind of stuck through there. I just cut a hole in the plastic, tried to keep it as small as I could and force it on there so it was a little bit of a tight seal. And that'll let my water drain out the other side. So I'll have, like I said, about 3 inches of water in the bottom of this container. So now it's time to start laying in the drain pipe, and it's just, this is corrugated, well, this has got holes in it, the other's corrugated, it's got slits all through it. So I'm gonna put the holes down so it doesn't fill up with dirt whenever I put dirt in here. I'm gonna try to put these in there gently so I don't tear the plastic. Don't want to put a hole in my plastic either. And I'm going to put a little bit of a space in between them. Not much, just a little bit, enough for dirt to get down to the bottom and act as a wick to wick the water up. So let's see, how many do I need? I think I can get one more in there. And one more goes right over the drain. So it keeps dirt from clogging that up, and we'll let water fill up. So this will give me a nice water basin in the bottom of this, good air flow and everything I need. I don't think I can get another one in there, but I might be able to. I could, but it might be, you know what, I think I might be able to get one more in there. Let's do that. Cut this one off a little bit. There we go. The only thing, before I put dirt in here, I need to get some kind of way to fill the water up. So I need a tube that goes from down here. I'm going to put it the opposite side of the drain hole that goes from down here up to put water in it. And I've got just the thing for that. All right, I'm almost out of camera here, but hopefully you can see me. What I've got is a piece of irrigation tube, and it's got a quick connect hose connection on the other end, so I can hook my hose up to it pretty easily. And I'm going to put it down here. I'm just going to cut a slit, shove it down in that pipe, and leave it down in there, let it hang out the side here. So I can fill this up pretty easily. Actually, a lot longer than I need it to be. I think I'll shorten it up just a little bit. Let's cut it off right about there. That'll work. Let that sit out the back side of that. And now we're ready to start filling this thing with soil, but I gotta make some potting mix before I do. Well, I decided before I put dirt in here, I better put some water in here, make sure it's not leaking. So far, it's not leaking. It should be getting pretty close to full. So what I'm doing is just filling it up until water starts to run out this drain pipe, and then turn the water off. That's as much water as it's gonna hold. And it's getting pretty close to full. I don't see any leaks. I don't see any, water seeping out the sides or anything like that. So I think I'm good. I don't think I have any holes in my plastic, which is good. And this thing holds quite a bit of water. A lot of water, actually. Okay, I don't know if you can see this on camera or not, but water's starting to drain out here, so that means it is full. That's as full as it's gonna get. And disconnect my hose here real quick. And I've got just what we want in here. I've got water, but I've got a section of the pipe that does not have water, has air in it, so that's going to be perfect. That's exactly what I'm wanting. It's not a perfectly level, a little bit more water in this corner than there is in this corner, but that's going to be fine. It's not going to be a big deal at all. So let me get some dirt and let's start filling this up. All right, as far as what kind of dirt you want to put in your self-watering containers, you want to use a good potting mix, not just dirt. I've got a potting mix. I make my own, but you can definitely buy it. It's, you know, that's probably the most expensive part of this. If you have to buy, it's quite a bit of dirt, or quite a bit of soil, I should say. But this is an old self-watering container I had that's cracked, so I need to repair it. So I'm going to use the dirt out of here. It's not going to be anywhere near enough, but that's what I'm going to start with. But the way I make my potting mix is 1 part compost, 1 part peat moss, a bunch of vermiculite or perlite. I couldn't tell you exactly how much. It's probably close to about half of, 1 part, I guess if you say 1 part compost, 1 part peat moss, half a part, perlite, somewhere right around in there. A little bit of lime, garden lime, probably a coffee can, a small coffee can full of garden lime. I mix that in with the dirt just to kind of level out the pH a little bit. That makes a good absorbent potting mix that also drains pretty well. That's what the perlite and stuff does. So, as far as how much perlite, like I said, I just kind of eyeball it, look at it. And when it's not clumping together too much, then that's about the right amount. So anyway, I'm going to empty out this container, get it in here, and then we'll go from there, and I'll put more dirt in. I'll have to go make a whole bunch more for sure. Start up here around the drain or the fill tube so I can kind of keep that in place. All right, so I've got a good layer of dirt here on the bottom, and what I want to do is kind of push it, work it in between these drain pipes, and I'm just going to use my hands. I mean, you can put some gloves on if you don't want to get dirty, but make sure it gets packed down in there. That's your wick. That's what draws water up to the plants. So you want to make sure that it's getting down in there. It's not just sitting on the surface here. All right, so I got this bed all filled with soil. Takes quite a bit of soil to fill this thing up. I think I used, say I had 2 containers that were old, needed to be used up, so I used the dirt out of both of those. You saw me dump the first one in, the second one in, and then I used 4 more loads of potting mix, which was 5 gallons of compost, 5 gallons of peat moss, like I said, half of 2.5 gallons or so of perlite, all mixed together. It took 4 loads of that to fill this thing the rest of the way up, so it's pretty full right now. I'm going to go ahead and get planting in this. I've got some starts that are already started. I'm going to be putting in some broccoli and some romaine lettuce. We'll see how much of the bed it takes up, and I'll probably go ahead and plant some radish on the other side. I primarily plan to use this bed because I do have my whole garden back here behind me that I'll be using for tomatoes and all those other kinds of things. So I'm going to use this bed for things that I would open seed most of the time. Things like lettuces, carrots do really, really well in these kinds of containers. I have not found tomatoes to do well in them. They tend to get blossom end rot and just kind of struggle with those kinds of things. But pepper plants do really, really well in them too. Now I'm going to probably put peppers in the garden itself, but all the other stuff that I'm going to open seed, spinach, lettuce, all that kind of stuff will probably go in these containers. That's the plan for these little raised beds. So I've got my wife helping me today. She's a little bit off camera, but you'll get to see her here in a second. And we're going to go ahead and start planting some things out. All right, so now I'm going to use a tape measure here because I'm going to be planting some broccoli and some cauliflower to start with, and they need to go, probably in this bed. I'm going to intensively plant it, so I'm going to do about 15 inches apart. This bed is 31 inches, so if I start on the side right here, we should be able to get another one right there. So let me just make some marks here. And you know what? I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to plant them a little bit closer than that. We're just going to do them like this. So I'll get 3. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So I'll get 3 there. Put another one right there. Another one right there. How much of a spacing is that? Let's go a little bit further out. There we go. Right there and right there. Real scientific about this. Very precise, right? So that's where they're going to be planted. And this is a broccoli plant. You can go ahead and grab one. Put it in the plant if you want, or in the ground if you want to. Planting in here is just like planting anything else. Really don't even need a shovel because this dirt is so soft and so easy to dig in. I don't know which one's which. One of these is a cauliflower, or two of them I think are cauliflower, three of them are broccoli. I'm not sure which one's which, but that's okay.
My cauliflower.
Those are cauliflower?
Yeah.
This is broccoli. Okay. I don't know exactly, but they're all pretty much the same. They grow same spacing and all that kind of stuff. All right, so the next thing we've got is some romaine lettuce. I'm gonna scoot over here. And here, we can just set this right here on the deal. And let's make a row here. Let's see, we need to go probably 5-inch spacing. You want to hand me that? Give these a little bit of room to grow. We'll go with like 7 inches right about there. If I can get that to work. Okay, so we'll go, I think we can get away with like 3-inch spacing in here. So I'm gonna make one right here, one right there, right there, right there, right there. And right there, that'll probably be one row. We'll go ahead and get that planted out.
Probably gonna have to gloves.
Yeah. Cannot work with these gloves on and get the plants out of here. These are coming out very...
We watered them more.
Yeah. And I have not thinned these out, so I've got 2 plants in these. I'm going to go ahead and pinch that off and just plant the one.
Just one day?
Just one.
Oh, I don't want to.
It's tough to get rid of the rest, but if we don't, they'll crowd each other out.
Which one?
Just pick one, it doesn't matter. They're all about the same. All right, so, cauliflower, broccoli, some romaine lettuce planted out here. I'm gonna finish this bed out with some radish. These are Baker Creek seeds. This is an early scarlet globe radish, so it'll be a good thing to finish this bed out with. We've got one more of these beds that we're gonna put together on the other side of it, so I'll be able to plant some other salad mixes and some of those kinds of things in that. But this is, radish seed's pretty easy to plant. I'm just gonna make a row, kind of. Let me do that real quick. Right down here, and then probably another one right there. And I bet we can get one more in here, right there. And then, you want some seed? And we're just gonna sprinkle them, try to, 1 or 2 seeds every couple of inches, or I don't know, I don't measure it that close. We'll just thin it out as we go, but they don't need to be sown too thick. Get them all covered up.
Water these from the top.
Yep, and then I will need to go ahead and water these in real good. And I'll probably do that for a couple of days. Water from the top with a good watering in, let everything get real good and established. When the radish start coming up, then I don't need to really water from the top anymore. It's just gonna be that sub-irrigated watering, and that's it. If you've never used sub-irrigating watering or self-watering containers, they are fantastic. A great way to conserve your water and just your plants really do just thrive in them. There's no guesswork. Plus, you can leave them for a couple of days without having to worry about watering them. Generally speaking, even in the heat of summer, I only have to put water in these like once every week or so. And that's really about it. They never seem to really run out of water completely. So they do work very, very well. Let me grab the hose here and I'll get it watered in. Let's clean up my mess here a little bit so I don't spray water over everything else. Whoops. And watering them in isn't anything special here. Just give them a good soaking. And I'm going to go ahead, since I topped this or put water in this thing and then filled it with dirt, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's got water in the bottom of it as well. Let's just hook it up and let it run until the water comes out the other side. Looks like it did soak up quite a bit of that water, so it's good that I'm filling it up. Another little trick you can do, especially when you're starting seeds in here, is to lay some newspaper over the top of these seeds that are getting ready to start. Soak that down real good with water, maybe even wet it or weight it down a little bit around the edges so it doesn't blow away. But then that'll help keep the moisture in and help your seeds to germinate just a little bit easier if you're having a hard time. I mean, it's spring here, so we get quite a bit of rain. Between that and I'll come out and water these things, a couple of times a day if I need to. Probably early morning, late evening, just to make sure that they stay good and damp. And we'll go ahead and, I've got water coming out the side there now, so let me turn this off. We've got plenty of water in here. But I'll come out and water them a couple of times a day to make sure they stay good and damp and they go ahead and germinate. Well, that's about it. I've got one more of these containers to build. I'm going to put it right on the other side of it, and kind of excited about these. These are pretty nice to grow a lot of your, like I said, your root vegetables in. Carrots do really, really well in here because, especially in my area, we've got hard clay soil. So I may have good soft soil at the top, but it's not very far down before you're going to hit a rock or something. And carrots are just incredibly hard to grow in that. They hit those rocks, go sideways. They just don't get full and nice. They do great in these containers, really, really well. Again, peppers, if you've got a smaller container that you can pick up and carry around, peppers are actually perennial. So if you can bring them in the wintertime, if you live in a climate like mine where it gets cold in the wintertime, you can grow them in a self-watering container like this, bring them in the wintertime, and they'll stay alive as long as you can provide them with enough light. They probably won't produce peppers over the winter because they don't have enough light to do that, but they'll stay alive. And then you just move them back out in the summer and they start up with peppers again. So they're great to grow in self-watering containers. They do really, really well in those. The other thing that's nice about these is that these will be nice in the wintertime. It's pretty easy to put some, hoop house type plastic over the top of these and grow a little bit further into the winter, things like your lettuces and your cold season crop type stuff. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. As always, God bless.